stand beside the River Seine more than 2,000 years ago, and Paris does not exist. There is no Eiffel Tower cutting into the clouds, no cathedral bells, no stone bridges, crowded boulevards, or glowing cafes. Only cold water moving between muddy islands, wooden boats slipping through the morning mist, and a small community watching from the riverbank. But keep your eyes on this exact place. Over the centuries, these quiet shores will witness Roman conquest, Viking warships, medieval kings, revolution, occupation, fire, and rebirth. A settlement will become a fortress, the fortress will become a royal capital, and the capital will become one of the most recognizable cities on Earth. Paris will transform around it. The river towards the islands that will eventually form the heart of Paris. The water will remain the one constant. Everything else will change. Forests will retreat. Wooden huts will become Roman streets. Churches will rise above crowded medieval rooftops. Stone bridges will replace ferries. Palaces will spread along the banks, while entire neighborhoods disappear beneath boulevards and monuments. For more than 2,000 years, the Seine will feed Paris, protect it, divide it, and connect it to the wider world. This is not merely the evolution of a city, it is the story of how generations repeatedly destroyed, rebuilt, and reimagined the same small piece of land. Around the 3rd century BCE, the Parisii lived somewhere along this region of the Seine. The precise location of their main settlement remains debated. It may have stood near the modern center of Paris, or farther west around present-day Nanterre. But the river is already the center of their world. Wooden boats carry people, fish, grain, and goods between communities. Smoke rises from timber and thatch houses. Farmers cultivate the fertile ground beyond the marshes, while craftsmen shape iron, pottery, and decorated coins. The Seine is a highway long before roads dominate the landscape. It is also a defense. Its islands provide shelter from attack and control over one of the easiest places to cross the river. The name of these people, the Parisii, will outlive their homes, their leaders, and even their language. Calm River is interrupted by war. Roman legions commanded by Julius Caesar's lieutenant, Labienus, march into the territory of the Parisii. The local defenders burn their settlement and destroy the river crossings rather than surrender them intact. Warriors gather beside the Seine. Shields lock, spears rise. But Rome wins. In the decades that follow, a new city begins to take shape. The Romans call it Lutetia. Cargo boats unload wine, pottery, oil, and stone. A major road crosses the Seine from north to south, placing Lutetia inside Rome's enormous transport network. The grand center of Roman life develops mainly on the left bank, across the river from our viewpoint. Streets appear in a regular grid. An amphitheater, baths, aqueduct, and forum rise on the slopes of the hill. Lutetia is not Rome, but it has become unmistakably Roman. By the 2nd century CE, the riverbanks are alive with movement. Boatmen pull cargo against the current. Dockworkers carry amphorae from the quay. Merchants bargain beneath awnings as carts cross the bridges. On the left bank, wealthy residents visit heated public baths, decorated with stone and painted plaster. Crowds gather for performances and spectacles. Water travels into the city through an engineered aqueduct. Around the island, commercial activity grows beside the ancient port. Small islands and sandbanks are gradually joined, but Rome's peace cannot last forever. During the 3rd century, instability spreads through the empire. Raids threaten northern Gaul. Public buildings on the left bank are abandoned, and stone is stripped from older monuments. The center of Lutetia retreats towards the river. In the early 4th century, thick defensive walls rise around Ile de la Cité. Blocks taken from abandoned Roman structures are reused in the fortifications. The open Roman town has become a compact island fortress. The Roman Empire in the west weakens and fragments. Latin remains in the streets, but soldiers, rulers, and beliefs change. Christian worship grows. Churches begin to replace temples. The name Lutetia gradually gives way to the name of the region's earlier people, Paris. By the late 5th and early 6th centuries, the Frankish king Clovis makes Paris an important royal and Christian center. Wooden houses crowd against defensive walls. Smoke rises from workshops. Priests move between early churches, while traders continue crossing the Seine just as they did centuries earlier. Kings may claim Paris, but the river still controls it. Anyone wishing to move armies, collect taxes, or trade across northern France must reckon with the bridges and the fortified island at its center. In the 9th century, unfamiliar sails appear downstream. Viking raiders have discovered that the Seine leads directly into the heart of the Frankish kingdom. Longships move through the morning mist. Warriors step onto the riverbanks. Monasteries and settlements are attacked, while frightened residents retreat behind the island's defenses. In 885, a vast Viking force reaches Paris. The city's bridges are no longer simply crossings. They are defensive barriers blocking further movement upriver. For months, Paris resists. Flaming projectiles cross the water. Siege engines strike the fortifications. Attackers attempt to destroy the bridges, while defenders fight from wooden towers above them. Disease and hunger enter the city, but its defenders hold. Paris survives partly because of its position on the Seine. When the ships finally move away, Paris is damaged, but more politically important than before. Centuries accelerate. By the 12th century, Paris is expanding beyond its island fortress. Markets spread across both banks. Mills turn beside the water. Barges carry timber, wine, grain, and stone into an increasingly crowded capital. Narrow streets become tunnels of timber-framed houses. Waste flows towards the river. Bells regulate working hours, worship, and danger. Then, in 1163, construction begins on a new cathedral at the eastern end of Ile de la Cité. Notre-Dame rises slowly into our fixed frame. First come foundations and heavy stone walls. Then pointed arches, flying buttresses, and vast windows. Generations of builders work on a structure many will never see completed. Around it, medieval Paris grows denser. The left bank becomes a center of religious learning, colleges, and scholarship. The right bank becomes a world of merchants, markets, and workshops. The river binds these different cities together. Notre Dame's towers eventually dominate the skyline, announcing that Paris is no longer simply a fortified settlement. It is one of medieval Europe's great capitals. Under Philip Augustus, new defensive walls surround large sections of Paris. A fortress rises beside the Seine on the western edge of the city. It will one day become the Louvre. Within the walls, the population grows quickly. Houses are built wherever space can be found, even directly on bridges. The Seine becomes crowded with water carriers, fishermen, washing boats, and heavily loaded barges. Paris is powerful, wealthy, and deeply unpleasant. War, plague, and political violence repeatedly empty the streets. Yet each crisis is followed by more construction. Paris does not grow neatly. It grows by pressing new stone against the old. In 1578, construction begins on a revolutionary crossing at the western tip of Ile de la Cité, the Pont Neuf. Despite its name, it will eventually become the oldest surviving bridge in Paris. Unlike older bridges, it is built from stone and carries no houses. Its open walkways give Parisians something unfamiliar, a clear view of the river and the city around them. The bridge becomes a stage. Street performers attract crowds. Vendors sell food and printed pamphlets. Nearby, royal projects reshape the riverbanks. Quays become more organized. Palaces grow larger. The Louvre gradually changes from a defensive fortress into a royal residence. Paris begins turning towards the Seine. By the late 18th century, Paris is a city of elegance and desperation. Royal buildings shine beside overcrowded neighborhoods. Bread prices rise. Anger spreads through workshops, markets, and cafes. Then, in July 1789, the city erupts. Crowds seize weapons and storm the Bastille. The fortress falls, and its destruction becomes the symbol of a revolution that will overturn France. From the banks of the Seine, church bells ring above marching crowds. Armed citizens cross bridges carrying flags, muskets, and pikes. Political pamphlets move through the streets faster than any royal order. Notre-Dame is seized, vandalized. Kings once ruled Paris from palaces beside this river. Now the people claim the city for themselves. But revolution brings celebration, fear, execution, and war. Paris has entered the modern age through violence. The revolution gives way to another ruler. In 1804, Napoleon Bonaparte crowns himself emperor inside Notre-Dame. Outside, Paris is transformed into the capital of an empire. Triumphal monuments rise, roads are improved, military victories are carved into stone. Yet much of the city remains medieval beneath the imperial decoration. Streets are narrow, dark, and overcrowded. Open drains carry filth. Disease moves easily through densely packed neighborhoods. Notre-Dame itself deteriorates so badly that demolition is eventually considered. Then, Victor Hugo's novel brings renewed attention to the forgotten cathedral. Public support grows, and a major 19th century restoration, led by Eugène Viollet-le-Duc, saves and reshapes the building. A new spire rises above the Seine. In 1853, Napoleon III appoints Georges-Eugène Haussmann to rebuild the capital. The transformation is ruthless. Thousands of workers cut broad, straight boulevards through tightly packed neighborhoods. Uniform stone facades rise along the new streets. Trees are planted. Gas lamps glow after sunset. Parks, railway stations, sewers, and water systems appear. Around Ile de la Cité, old houses and alleys are cleared away. The open square in front of Notre-Dame expands dramatically. A new Hôtel Dieu hospital and government buildings replace much of the dense medieval neighborhood. Modern Paris is being created by erasing much of old Paris. Steamships now move along the Seine. Railway bridges cross the water. Factory smoke mixes with morning fog. Then, between 1887 and 1889, an impossible iron structure rises in the distance. The Eiffel Tower. Workers assemble thousands of prefabricated metal components with millions of rivets. The structure climbs above the rooftops until it becomes the tallest building in the world. Many artists condemn it. Visitors adore it. At the 1889 World's Fair, Paris presents itself as the capital of modern engineering, culture, and spectacle. Electric lights begin replacing gas, department stores glow, cafes remain open late. Painters capture reflections on the river. Paris has become both ancient and futuristic. In January 1910, the Seine rises over its banks. Water enters streets, basements, railway tunnels, and sewers. Boats travel through neighborhoods normally filled with carts and pedestrians. Wooden walkways connect buildings above the flood. During the First World War, Paris hears distant artillery and faces bombing from the air. In 1940, German forces occupy the capital. Swastika flags hang from monumental buildings. Soldiers patrol bridges while frightened Parisians queue for food beneath the same skyline seen by generations before them. Then, in August 1944, barricades rise. Resistance fighters exchange fire with occupying forces. Armored vehicles enter the streets. On 25 August, German forces surrender in Paris. The following day, enormous crowds celebrate liberation. Notre-Dame's bells ring across the Seine. After 4 years of occupation, the city belongs to its people again. After the war, Paris expands beyond the old skyline. Cars fill the quays. Concrete roads appear beside the river. Glass towers rise in distant business districts. Suburban railways carry millions of people into the center. Yet the historic banks of the Seine remain recognizable. Booksellers open their green boxes. Tour boats pass beneath stone bridges. Artists, students, workers, and visitors gather beside the water. The riverfront increasingly becomes a place for walking, culture, and memory rather than heavy industry. Different centuries now occupy the same view. Roman remains lie beneath the cathedral square. Medieval towers stand beside 19th century boulevards. Paris has not replaced its history. It has stacked one age upon another. On the evening of April 15, 2019, smoke rises above Notre-Dame. Flames spread through the medieval roof. Crowds gathered silently along the Seine as the cathedral's spire burns and collapses. For a few terrible hours, it appears that the monument which survived revolution, neglect, and war may be lost. But the stone towers remain standing. Craftspeople, engineers, and historians begin the work of rebuilding. Ancient techniques are combined with modern science. Timber is shaped, stone is cleaned, paintings and stained glass are restored. In December 2024, Notre Dame reopens to worshippers and visitors. Once again, Paris rebuilds itself beside the river. The cathedral does not return unchanged by history. It returns as another layer of it. The water is still moving, but everything surrounding it has transformed. The settlement of the Parisii became Roman Lutetia. The Roman town became a fortified island. The island became a medieval capital, a royal city, a revolutionary battleground, and a modern metropolis. Paris survived invasions, plague, flood, occupation, fire, and the ambitions of rulers who repeatedly tore it apart to build something new. Its beauty does not come from remaining unchanged. It comes from surviving change. Every bridge carries the memory of older crossings. Every boulevard conceals vanished streets. Every stone beside the river rests upon another version of Paris. And tonight, when the lights reflect across the Seine, the ancient city is still there, buried beneath the pavement, written into the buildings, and flowing silently beneath the bridges. History never truly leaves Paris. It simply becomes part of the view. Subscribe for more fixed camera journeys through the rise, destruction, and transformation of the world's greatest cities. And tell us in the comments, which city should we watch evolve next?